Teachers, and welcome to lesson 81 on reducing fractions. We can divide by a fraction named for 1 to reduce or simplify fractions. So we've already multiplied by a fraction named for 1. Now we're going to divide by them. So if both the numerator and the denominator have the same factor, you can divide by that factor as a fraction to equal 1. I always feel like when I explain these things in words like that, it's more confusing than just looking at an example. So here's an example. So I have 3/6 and I want to simplify it. I'm going to look for a factor that both 3 and 6 have in common. What could I divide them both by? It has to be the same number. And in this case, it's kind of giving you a hint that your answer is going to be 1/2. So what do I divide 6 by to get 2? 3. And what do I divide? And then whatever I divide the denominator by, I have to divide the numerator by. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. So here's a fraction equal to 1 that I'm dividing this fraction by to get a new fraction that is, it's still equivalent to this one. It means the same thing. 3 is half of 6, 1 is half of 2. But instead of going bigger, we're going smaller. And this is very, very useful because we always want our answers in a simplified form. And this is how you do it. This is how you reduce fractions. All right, let's look at this example. So we have 6/8 and I want to simplify it. First thing I need to do is look for a factor that I can divide both 6 and 8 by. What'd you come up with? How about 2? It's even, right? So I'm going to divide it by 2 over 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So my final answer is 3/4. If both terms can't be divided by the same number, it cannot be reduced. Okay, that's really, really important. So always keep that in mind. We're going to try to reduce all of these, and we might come across one that we can't reduce. So we have 2/6. What can I divide both 2 and 6 by? Good, I can divide them both by 2. So I'm going to make that equal sign into a division sign, and we're going to divide them both by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So my answer is 1/3. Okay, what about B? What can I divide both 5 and 6 by? Nothing. It was a trick question. 5 and 6 have no factors in common. And you know what is one way that I can be sure of that? 5 is a prime number. If you have a prime number, it cannot be divided by any other factor besides itself and 1. So unless this number has that number that they can both divide by, like in the 2, 2 is a prime number, but 2 can go into 6, then you know that you're not going to be able to reduce this one. So it's already reduced. Let's try C, or why don't you try C on your own? You're going to divide it by a fraction that's equal to 1 they both have that factor in common, okay? All right, this is also useful for when we are, solving a problem like adding fractions. So they have the same denominator. So the denominator is going to stay the same, and I'll add the numerators. But now 6/8 is not reduced because one factor can go into both of those. And the first thing I always look for is, are they both even numbers? Because if they're both even, you know they can divide by 2. So let's do that. We're going to divide them both by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3. All right, what about this one? Try this one on your own. So first, you're going to add your numerators, keep your denominator the same, and then you're going to reduce it. All right, our last example we're going to do together is subtraction. And it's subtracting mixed numbers. Both denominators are the same, so I'm going to start by subtracting the fractions. So 5 minus 1 is going to be 4. The denominator stays the same. And then 5 minus 2 is 3. But I'm not done because my fraction part can be reduced. Both 4 and 6 are even, which means they can be divided by 2. So we're going to divide the fraction by 2 over 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And now we're going to rewrite our answer as a mixed number. We still have our whole number of 3. So 3 2/3. Alright, and that's this entire lesson. It's not too bad. So go ahead and get to work, and I'll see you tomorrow.